Hello everyone and welcome to the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. On today's episode, I'm looking at Luminar 4, but I'm calling this tutorial my top 5 essential tools inside of Luminar 4. Or maybe a subtitle could be, I'm stranded on a desert island and they were going to let me have 5 Luminar tools. Which would I take with me? And these would be those tools. So let's get started. Well, what do you think my first favorite tool is? And this is kind of in the order that I would go. My first favorite tool is AI Enhance. I love AI Enhance. I mean, this tool is really amazing. Now, I did a little bit of editing inside of Lightroom, just a little slight edit, okay? And now here I am in Luminar 4. So let's take the Accent AI and let's just open this up a little bit with the Accent AI. I just love what it does. Now I could go crazy and go, move it real far to the right. And I recommend that you do that. Play around with it and come and find the spot that you really like. And I'm thinking maybe right around in there. Now let's click the toggle right here. Here's the before and here's the after. So as you can see right there, it does a great job right there. And it's a really good starting point. On to tool number 2. Now, tool number 2 for me is AI structure. And especially on a scene like this where we got a lot of trees, it's a early fall scene, and I love these, these pine trees in the forest and some of these old trees here and some of the yellow foliage on the trees. So let's just take the AI structure and let's start to bump it up to the right. And it artificially, with, I should say, artificial intelligence will add some really nice structure. So let's just take a look at it right here. So something like right around there. Now, an image like this can take a lot of structure. I don't want to go crazy, but right around there. Now let's click this toggle. Here's the before and here's the after. So beautiful. And I love AI structures. So that's my second favorite tool. On to the third. Before I go on to my third top 5 essential tool inside of Luminar 4, I just wanted to point out the first 2 tools, AI Structure and AI Enhance. Man, they are so easy to use. I mean, it's just a simple pull of a slider, and that's one of the beautiful things about Luminar 4. These 2 tools are great, and that's why they hit the top of my list. Now, my third favorite tool, which is an essential tool, I might add, would be, let's come to the essentials here. And of course, it should be in the essentials, right? Because it is an essential tool. Not really, but that's where it is. It's under light, but it's under advanced settings right here, and that is the curves. Now, I know curves are in a lot of different pieces of software. Just about any piece of editing software is going to have curves. But man, you really need curves, okay? So I'm going to use curves here to just pop a little bit of contrast into my image. I'm going to make a simple S curve. By the way, if you want to get rid of points, just double-click the point with your mouse and it'll go away. So I thought I wanted to point that out. Took me a while to figure that one out. And I want to pass that along to you. So let's just pop a nice little bit of contrast. Now, whenever you add contrast to an image, you will increase your saturation a little bit. We're at the beginning editing stages of this image, so that little bit of saturation increase, I think, really helps this image right here. Now, another nice thing about a curves tool is it is a color grading tool, because not only do you have this first dot right here, which deals with the luminosity of the image, but you also have colors, your red, your green, and your blue. For instance, if you wanted to warm this image up a little bit, you could choose your blue right here. And remember, the opposite of blue is yellow. So if you wanted more yellow in your image, you could take this point right here and drag it down. And you notice how the image starts to turn yellow. So you can color grade your image. I'm not going to mess with that right now because my next tool is dealing with color. So for now, let's just leave that alone. But just bear that in the back of your mind. You can really do some really nice color grading with the curves tool. So let's just double click this and we've reset that blue curve right there. All right, so let's, well, I can't click this. If I click this right here under light, light doesn't have a toggle, by the way. So if you click this, you're going to reset everything that you've adjusted under light right here. Now, I haven't touched anything here because I'm only showing you my top 5 essential tools. So let's come here to the eyeball right here and let's click the before and after. So here's where we're at so far. So we came from here and we've got to here. So we're doing really well. And now on to the next tool. This tool is going to be found under the Pro section right here. So right here it's called Color Enhancer. So give that a click, left click with your mouse. And inside here you're going to find some really cool and interesting sliders and adjustments in here, okay? Brilliance. Now, Brilliance is a really cool slider. It's more than a saturation slider. Let me take the Brilliance and move it to the left, and you'll see here, even when I take it the whole way off, you'll see I still have color in here. I don't know quite how it's working, but it's almost like a saturation and vibrance built into one, in my opinion. I don't know if that's a good term, but it makes sense to me. But watch when I move it to the right. Look what it does. I mean, it does some really interesting saturation work on your image here. So that's way too much. And usually, not usually, but I'm going to recommend that you use this one last. So I'm going to double click this and get it back to 0. All right. So start out with it at 0 and work with your other sliders first. Okay. And then at the end, I recommend coming up here, just a little tip, and then adjust it accordingly. You might want to take it down a little bit or take it up, depending what these other sliders do for you. So let's start out with warmth. And it's simply just like in your white balance, like the warmth in your white balance. You can either cool your image down when you move to the left or warm it up to the right. So in this image, let's say I want to warm it up just a little bit, because you know what, it is a fall scene. So I can warm it up a good bit if I want to, and I want to keep these trees nice and warm looking and keep it looking like I'm in the woods here. Okay, so maybe somewhere right around there. And now let's just click the toggle. So here's the before and here's the after. So a nice improvement on the image. Now the next slider is the amount slider under color contrast. Now color contrast, it's kind of a hard little tool to get your head wrapped around, but here's what I recommend you doing here, and just follow me here. Take it and bring it up to about 50. This is just a starting point just to see which direction you want to go. Now I know that doesn't look good right now, but what the color contrast does is you can pick a couple of colors, I believe, and add contrast between a couple colors, all right? And you'll see here what I mean in a second. See this hue slider right here? So we've got the amount up to 50. So now let's take our hue slider and let's start dragging through it. And when you drag through, just watch your image. And you're going to find a spot where things look really nice. Like, you know, for me, like maybe right around there. Look at how I brought some of these colors out here. I'm contrasting these yellows and reds against the greens here. Now let's keep going through here and the hue and see what we got. And see things changing there as I move through here? As I go the whole way to the right. You know, there's places where it looks horrible. There's places where it looks like really amazing. And I'm looking for contrast in these yellows and greens. And now the greens don't look good right there. I'm going to come back to where I thought it looked good. So just leave my amount of 50. I was on the wrong slider. I'm going to keep moving my hue back. And there was a spot that I liked. And I think it was right around here, because I don't want to lose all my yellows, but I want to contrast some of the reds against the yellows here. Look up here and look at the nice contrast I'm getting in here. So let's play with that a little bit more and see where we want it to go. And I'm thinking right around there looks really good. Now let's click this toggle. Here's our before and here's our after. Pretty cool stuff, right? You got to admit that. The greens are a little bit hot there, but we'll probably take care of that by pulling the brilliance back a little bit at the end. So let's not worry about that right now. So we've got our warmth adjusted. We've got our color contrast adjusted. Now we have this split color warmth. All right. So if you want to warm up your image some more, you can move this to the right and warm up more. Or if you want to cool it down, actually not cool it down, but actually take some of that warmth out, you can move it to the left a little bit. Kind of goes slightly cooler, but depending. Now you just want to, when you move these sliders, kind of look at your image as you're moving them. And I might want to just warm it up just a little bit more, because again, I want to keep that woodsy feel to this image. So that looks kind of nice right there. I might have gone a little too far, so let me just back it off just a little bit. Yeah, right around in there I think looks really good. Okay, now the cool slider, the way it works, you would think if you would move it to the right it would get cooler, but it actually doesn't. When you move it to the left it gets cooler. Okay, so it cools your image down to the left. So again, just play with this slider and get it to where you think it looks good. Okay, so I'm thinking maybe just a slight bump in away from the cool side here a little bit, just a very little bit. And I'm thinking that's looking really good right there. So let's click this toggle right here. Here's a before and after. So pretty nice so far, right? And now under advanced settings, let's click this. You're going to have a color balance. So this kind of tool gives me a bunch of tools in one. Okay, a lot of color adjustments in here. Color balance is a great tool for adjusting your image. I usually like to start out with the midtones. So let's click on midtones and let's just play with the yellow and blue first. Let's just see, we can move it more to the cooler side of things, or we could move it more to the warmer side of things. And actually, I'm kind of liking it more to the warmer side of things, just a very little bit here. Maybe around a 3, somewhere right around there. A -3 takes us into the yellows a little bit more. Now we can look at the magentas and greens. So we can make our greens go really green, or we could back off in those greens a little bit. So here's a good chance for you in the midtones to back off in those green tones a little bit if they want a little bit nuclear. So let's put it back to 0. So if I move it a little bit into magenta, I'll ease off on those greens a little bit, which I think is looking really good. And I probably want to do that, but I don't want my trees to go too magenta in here, so you got to be careful here. So I'm just going to ease it off just a little bit to maybe around a -3, just to ease off the green a little bit here. And then we could bump up on the red if we wanted to, make our reds more red, or we could move more into the cyan range. See, like there, it looks horrible. So just to keep with the overall warmth of the image, I may want to go into the reds a little bit, but now my leaves down here get a little bit red, so maybe I may want to back off on that just a little bit. Maybe take that into the cyans a little bit, just a little bit, maybe around a 10, somewhere right around in there. Now let's click this toggle. Here's our before and here's our after, but it's looking really beautiful in my opinion. Now we can look at our highlights if we wanted to. I love this because we break it down to highlights, midtones, and shadows. So we can look at our highlights, like look on this tree limbs right here. And let's just play with the yellow and blue slider. Let's go one way with it, see more blue. And look at your image and just stop when you think it looks good. And I'm thinking maybe right around there. Okay? And let's play with our magenta and green. And I don't want to do too much here, so I'm just going to double click this and get it back to where it was. And let's just play with the reds. Do we want to see, we can warm things up a little bit there if we wanted to, or not. Maybe just a slight amount, you know, something like around a 2 or something like that. Looks pretty good. All right, and now let's go to our shadows. And do we want to cool our shadows down? So we could take the yellow and blue and move it more to the right, and we could cool the shadows down, which I don't really think I like that there. And do you have to touch these sliders? No. But it's not a bad idea just to play with them and see what they're doing. And I might just move them a little bit into yellow there a little bit, maybe something like that. Maybe play with my red. Maybe just take it slightly into red right around there. Now let's click on the toggle here. Here's the before and here's the after. So it's looking really nice. Now remember I said save your brilliance to the end. So now, like if you needed more saturation, you can move this up to the right. And you could pop a lot of saturation out in there. Or you could ease off on it a little bit. And I might just ease off on it a little bit. Maybe, you know, maybe like a -8, something like that. Now let's click this toggle. Here's the before and here's the after. So looking really nice. And that's just the color enhancer. Now let's click the eyeball right here to see the overall adjustments we've made. We've come from here and we've gone to here, which I tell you is amazing. We're only working with 5 simple filters here. So again, these are my essential filters I'd take with me to a desert island. On to the last tool. Before I go to that last tool, I almost forgot. Let's come back up and revisit the color contrast. Because remember, I said we started out at 50 just to see where we wanted to go. So let's just move it more to the right. And we can bump that contrast up a little bit more. Even a little bit more. Which is, I think I like that right there. So let's click this toggle one more time. Before and after. So yeah, I think that looks really good. I'm happy with that. Now we're on the last tool of my top 5 essential tools in Luminar 4. It's in the pros section, and it is right here, dodge and burn. If you've watched any of my videos in the past, you know how much I love dodge and burn. So let's just come here, and it says start painting. So let's click that. And well, let's start out with lightning. Now, I really recommend that you take this strength slider and pull it back a good bit. I usually like to start around 15 or so. I'm going to use the left bracket key to make my brush a little bit smaller. And what I'm going to do is just look for some lighter areas that I want to bring out a little bit more, like, and draw attention to. And so I'm just going to paint over like here and here, little areas. And take your time and have fun with this. I'm not going to go and do this to perfection, but I just want you to get a feel for what it does. And every time you wipe over this with, keep painting over it, like in releasing the brush and then hitting it again, you will continue to add lightness. Okay, so just find some areas that you really want to bring out, like maybe some of this, these leaves down here where a little bit of light is coming through, and kissing them, and just accent them. Dodging and burning is what will really set your images apart from the pack. It'll really help out. So again, you're just looking for areas that you really want to draw some attention to. Maybe on this tree here a little bit here. Some of these branches coming through. And again, you want to change your brush size. I'm just doing a really quick job here just to show you. Now this is something you really want to take your time on and really have fun with it. And maybe up in here, we're just little bits of light are popping through. And you're just going to add some nice impact and drama to the image. And I'm using a Wacom tablet and pen. I highly recommend a Wacom tablet and pen. It really helps. And you can do it with a mouse as well. So let's just go here a little bit and maybe up in here. Again, I'm not going to go crazy and do the whole thing, but let's just toggle this and see the before and after. So here's the before and here's the after. It's really cool. And there's a nice overall amount slider here, which is really cool. So you can, if you went a little bit too strong at the end, you can drag back on it, which is nice. Now, once you click that toggle, you have to come back and click Start Painting again. And I can come back and keep painting my light in, but we're going to go to darken now. So we're going to go to darken. It defaults it the strength at 50%. So I'm just going to pull that back again to around, 13 to 15%, somewhere around in there. Make my brush a little bit smaller. And now you can add depth and dimension by darkening some areas in the image. See how it like throws things, it like pulls the lights out. And you got to have light against dark. I mean, that's where it's at. You want to contrast your lights against your darks. And remember, every time if you paint and then lift and paint again, it'll go darker. See, like in here. See how it pushes these lighter colors out when I darken around it? So I can come in here. And, I'm looking for shadows, dark areas like on these trees here. Like in here. Down in here a little bit. And again, take your time and have fun, like some of these trees down in here. Just where shadows are hitting. And play that light against shadow. It's a beautiful thing to do. Maybe darken that tree up a little bit. Darken that a little bit. Put a little bit in there. Something like that. But I think you get the idea what I'm doing here, right? I'm not going to spend too much time and go crazy and finish this to perfection. Because it is a tutorial. But I just want you guys to get the idea of what I'm doing here. And how beautiful this can make your final image here when you're all said and done. Okay, so let's click the toggle. There's the before and there's the after. Now you're seeing the lights and darks, the dodging and burning. And again, if you went too far, you can just take this off the whole way and then just build it up just to where you think it looks right. Maybe somewhere right around in there. Let's go a little bit more. Let me click this toggle one more time. So there's before and there's the after. So that's the dodging and burning. So there's my 5 top essential tools. AI Enhance, AI Structure, Color Enhancer, Dodge and Burn, and the Curves adjustment. You can't do without that Curves adjustment. You need it. So Let's click this eyeball one more time. So here's the before and here's the after. Let's do the split screen. I love the split screen. So we can see before and after. Isn't that beautiful? What a lovely little forest scene right here. I really enjoy this image. So let's click this right here and see the final result right there. I just want to point out that you can work with Luminar as a plugin inside of Photoshop or Affinity Photo, or whatever you're using, or you could use it as a standalone product. I started out in Photoshop, so what I would do, I would just click apply. If you worked in Luminar 4 as a standalone, it saves everything for you automatically, so you don't have to really do anything. Okay, and this just brings me right back into Photoshop, and there's my completed image. Let me option click the background layer. So you can see I started from there and I went to here. So beautiful results. I'm really happy with it here. And well, there you go. My top 5 essential tools inside of Luminar 4. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial today. Hey, let me know in the comment section below what your top 5 favorite tools that you would take to a desert island would be. I'd really like to hear what you think, or what you have to say, you know, because we all have our own things that we enjoy, right? So we're all different, but these are mine, and I wanted to share them with you. If you enjoyed this video today, please give it a like and share it with your friends. And also, if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and click the bell notification icon. And then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll be notified about it. Hey, thanks again for joining me today in the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. I appreciate each and every one of you. And until we meet again here next time, happy editing.